G'day viewers, and welcome to another racing-based preview of this weekend's thoroughbred racing action. Nearly a bit of a dud result for us last week with the first three of my specials going down, but luckily Astronomos and The Little Engine arrived late in the day to save us and put us into a bit of profit for the day. Now on to this week. After a week off last week, joined again by Ric Chapman, and Ric's nice and fresh from a week off and ready to tip us into some winners. So, Ric, how are you, mate?
I do my best when I'm fresh.
That's good to hear. So, have you found some for us this week on what looks like being a wet Rosehill track?
Well, I'm about an hour away from the track, and it was pouring here about an hour and a half ago, so I imagine it'll be very wet. Saying that, something's got to win each race, so yes, I believe we've found a couple here.
Okay, well, before we get into your tips and mine, Ric, last week I put out a call to some of our social media crowd, and to be honest, we've got a few on our social media followers that can tip some winners, and so from now on, I think we're going to have a guest tipster each week. So to kick off this week, one of our followers has fired in his best for the weekend. To Sean Burnett. Sean's keen on Francesco. He's put in a short comment, 70-odd weeks off, came back, trialled well, won easily at Kembla, comes up Rosehill, race 2, 550, get on. So best of luck to Sean, and with that one out the way, let's get on to yours.
Well, I think the most extraordinary thing is that Thomas Huey, whose name you see at Kembla and provincials and flaps like that, has got pretty much a full book on Saturday in town. So that makes for interesting reading. But I think the big thing that we all have to look out for is this ongoing battle between James McDonald, Hugh and Blake Shin. And if we're right, if I'm right, the way it maps out is that at some stage during the course of the day, Huey will have leapfrogged the two in front of him and gone to the lead, but James McDonald will bounce back when Houseman wins the Winter Stakes, and it's going to be I think half a win between all three of them by pretty much the end of the day, which would be fascinating for Sydney racing.
Okay, well, you mentioned the Winter Stakes. That's the feature race of the day there. So let's get into that. You've already revealed yours, Houseman. Why are you keen on this one, Ric?
I saw him trial the other week, and he looked awesome, as a lot of Godolphin horses do, and sometimes they don't back up in races. But he does. He's a tough old horse, and he'll get through the ground. I think the race is set up with a lot of pace early. 2 Blue will go forward. That'll be very hard to catch, I might hasten to add. But I do think Houseman will claim it close to the home. You'll Never be flashing home. You could make a case for all three top jockeys, Bowman, McDonald and Shin, to fight this particular race out, which would be somewhat fitting since the biggest race of the day in town. But I think Paul King might separate them all. So Houseman's in form. He's come back better than ever. I think the way the race will be run with so much speed on early, he'll finish just a tad too strongly to beat 2 Blue and You'll Never.
Yeah, well, Houseman knocked me off last time. I tipped 2 Blue. I thought it was home towards the line. My horse gave a good sight, but Houseman just packed enough, and I'm not keen on him this week. He's drawn wide, and he won't get that cushy run he got last time. He won his only start on heavy, but I'm going for another wet tracker. One Peter Moody bring up to Sydney last week called Noella's Choice. This thing's run on, it's a Sebring horse. She's won on soft track, 2 from 2, heavy track, 2 wins, 2 seconds from 4. So hasn't missed the first 2 placings on that wet track that we're going to see on Saturday. Drops back from 1,600 to 14, which isn't ideal, but the last time Moody did this with this horse, she absolutely rocketed home. I can see her doing the same thing on suitable ground, and I'm going to go with Noella's Choice at $6 to $7 with different bookmakers.
That's interesting you say that about Houseman drawn wide, but Noella's Choice is drawn wider, so...
Yeah, but she'll go back to near last anyway, so she'll negate that wide gate. Houseman will be looking to sit midfield or closer, Ric, and I just think he might struggle to get in.
No, well, that's the beauty of racing. Different opinions. think it's really interesting. I like Thomas Huey in the first 2 races, and I don't think I'd ever have sat down and said, you know, Thomas Huey can win the first 2 races at Rosehill Gardens on a Saturday before, but he's on De Meister, who I think just will brain that staying field in the first race, and Duccio, like Francesco, trained by Gay, and trialled brilliantly, had no luck at all first up, but he's a fitter horse now, and he'll give a good sight. The horse I like the most, and what I'm most interested in watching, is an unraced 2-year-old in race 3, the Bob Ingham Handicap, and this is called King's Troop. Gerald Ryan trains. Arrowfield Stud owns. Brenton Abdullah rides. Drawn the fence. I know this is a cracking field. We've got 5 last start winners in it. We've got O'Shea's Boom Horse Inner Circle in it. We've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 horses that have been stakes placed. But this King's Troop is unraced, and I bet he brains them. I bet he beats them easily. He's that good on trial form, and we'll just see what happens. But I love it when those sorts of horses with that much potential turn up on race day for their first start, because they just make you get excited about the racing.
So are they your best for Saturday, mate?
I would have to say yes. I think De Meister will win the first comfortably, so he's probably my best bet of the day. I like Duccio at odds. I think this King's Troop is worth the punt because he's so good, and I was rarely have I been taken by a trial run such as his the other day. And there's one at Kembla which I'm going to have a good go at, and it's Wudang Mountain for Chris Waller. I think it'll get the prize in the 2-year-old race at Kembla. So they're my best.
Okay, well, I'm with you in that first one. Der Meister looks a certainty. You know, they really slugged it out last time, Der Meister and Chris Waller's horse. Waller's...
David Courage.
Yeah, that's the one. He got up. He had fitness on his side. They beat the rest of them by 4 to 5 lengths. But I think 5th run from a spell now, Perry's Galloper will be ready to peak. He was jumping straight up to 2,400 last time and probably needed the run. So, yeah, De Meister looks pretty good on paper, Rick, and does look the best of the day at around $3. My only other couple for the day also come up at Rosehill. I'm not really keen on anything at Flemington, to be honest. My Rosehill best, De Meister, I've got Berry Delicious looks hard to beat, but after 3 weeks off, I'm a bit worried that might have softened her up a bit. Commanding Wit, who I know you were keen on a little while ago, she was a bit disappointing first up, I thought, Rick. So I'm going for Breakfast in Bed. That horse's run was huge last time, had to go back a bit further than he would have liked. Abdullah just had no luck and had to drag him back to last, and it worked home well enough to suggest he'll be finishing hard on Saturday. And at $7, I think that's definitely worth a punt. And one other one I'm keen on at Rosehill is Casual Choice. This horse finished second to Shiraz, who I tipped last time, and I also said the punters stick with Shiraz. But I'm doing a backflip here. I'm going for Casual Choice. I liked it to run a bit more. We'll appreciate the track conditions. Second up just looks a bit too good and should get the run of the race. So they're my 3: De Meister, Breakfast in Bed, and Casual Choice. Okay, well, I have got one more, a bit of inside info for some punters. I spoke to Lloyd Kennewell earlier in the week, and Lloyd's, you know, he's not normally known as a bullish trainer, but he's been pretty bullish with one he's sending over to Melbourne on Saturday called Abu Dhabi. This horse won fairly easily at Morphettville last start, beat a smart Victorian visitor, just looked really professional as he did it. He's hoping to take him over to Melbourne for the Spring Carnival. If he's up to that, he should be winning on Saturday. So at $6, I'll probably have something small on Abu Dhabi in a race I'm not really confident in, but I'm just willing to take Lloyd's tip there.
Might be the omen bet of the day, seeing that lady was sent home from Abu Dhabi, the Australian ladies, yesterday. So it's in the news. The name is in the news.
Well, there we go. Omen bet as well.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay, well, that's this week's racing covered. Hopefully we've steered punters into a winner, and hopefully our guest tipster, Sean Burnett, his can salute as well. And best of luck to everyone watching. Hope you all have a good day and come out in front.
And remember, punting is easy.